go to New England Patriots at the New York Jets. Patriots favored by 3.5 on the road against the Jets. Patriots are 0-2. Jets 1-1 after that walk-off punt return for a touchdown in Week 1 on Monday Night Football. But it's Zach Wilson against the New England Patriots. I got those stats handy here to mention in a minute.
Perfect.
Not great. I mean, not great overall in his career, but especially against the Patriots. I think for New England, it feels like a game. If they don't win this, they're in serious trouble. I think they have the Cowboys coming up. I mean, they're in serious trouble. But New England has done a lot of good things this year so far in 2 weeks. But they played the Eagles and the Dolphins, where we might look back and say, hey, that's two of the best teams in the NFL. That's a rough start.
Yeah. I mean, poor Zach Wilson. Like, clearly he wasn't going to be the answer at any point this season. The idea was for him to sit, maybe learn from Aaron Rodgers, and maybe in next year or 2 years' time, he could be ready to take over. And it wasn't a complete busted draft pick. But him being thrown back in immediately, with Aaron Rodgers going down, and then that sequence looking like Buffalo, Dallas, New England, back to back to back. I mean, it's just harsh. We know he's not ready for that. Like, that's why he doesn't have the job in the first place. So, unfortunately for him, I don't see it going any other way than what we've seen already, which is fairly catastrophic. I mean, he's going to make some mistakes. He's going to do the whole seeing ghost thing that Sam Darnold did back in the day, and they're going to get nothing on offense. Like, if Breece Hall doesn't have an amazing day by himself, or Garrett Wilson is able to take one play, 70 yards or whatever, I don't know how the Jets move the ball, really.
Zach Wilson's career against the Patriots, we have a 51% completion percentage, 6.3 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I believe that's across 3 games, in a 35.8 PFF grade.
Yikes.
It's not good.
It's not.
And not only is it not good, but again, there was, I think in their first game last year was the point I made. I was like, why does Zach Wilson feel like every time he's throwing the ball, he's standing next to the sideline? Like, how did he get there? And you talked about the seeing ghosts thing. He was leaving clean pockets. He was also under pressure, but he was leaving clean pockets and just rolling right, and there was no rhythm, and there was just nothing to it.
Yeah.
Now, he's been a little bit better this year. I keep saying he's been like a little bit better this year, but it's a history of struggles against Bill Belichick's defense in New England. Patriots have a solid pass rush. The Jets' offensive line has also just been rough. Even if Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback, I think we'd be sitting here in Week 3 saying, how big of a concern is this Jets' offensive line for Aaron Rodgers, right? For Aaron Rodgers to consistently put up numbers and move the ball. And so that's all the more of an issue for Zach Wilson. The Jets' best bet, I think, is what you said. They got to run Breece Hall. I mean, I don't say this very often, but like, get that dude 20 carries. Get your speed, big play guy 20 carries and hope he breaks a 50-yarder or 2. And that's your best bet. And then all you need is Zach Wilson to hit 2 or 3 big plays, hopefully, like he did last week, right? He had the one nice rhythm throw to Garrett Wilson, takes it 70 yards. And that's how you do it.
Right.
And then the Jets, they do have a good defense. They do have an excellent defensive line. I think both sides of the ball here, Sam. Patriots offensive line's not playing well. Jets offensive line's not playing well. 2 good pass rushes. Might see another low-scoring game where the defenses dominate.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the New England side is going to be more interesting, though. I think they at least have the potential to move the ball and make some plays. And, they've been really good in the red zone so far. They just haven't been there that often. I think that New England offense can still function. Right. Now, the Jets' defense is potentially nasty, particularly up front, and that's going to – they'll really stress that New England offensive line, which isn't as strong as it usually is and maybe isn't as strong as it's going to be this year when everybody is healthy. So that might be their single biggest problem. But I do feel like they at least have the potential to have a viable offense in this game. I don't even think that's on the table necessarily for the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets' defense, it's kind of, I'm not saying they're at the Legion of Boom level, but they're the team that has the good pass rush, really good coverage on the back end. They're going to play, a lot of zone. And I do feel like the Patriots have the game plan against that. It was what the Cowboys did last week, right? Dak had 31 completions for about 250-something yards, taking all the underneath stuff. And that's what the Patriots have been doing so far, getting the ball out of Mac Jones' hands, taking everything underneath. They don't really have a take the top off the defense type of receiver anyway. So it feels like the Jets, defense might play into New England's hands anyway. Patriots will move the ball, I think, throwing the ball underneath. And Jets are just going to need to, I mean, every single week while Zach Wilson's the quarterback, either something completely changes drastically for him, or they're going to need to dominate the turnover battle, break a couple big plays on the ground. It's just a very fine line, I think, to win games for the Jets, even with a good defense. So I like New England. I like the history New England has had against Zach Wilson, I think is real.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a struggle for that Jets offense. I'll take New England to cover the 2.5 on the road.
Same. I would need quite a large number to be backing away from that, given what we expect to happen to Zach Wilson.
Just so we're clear at what's at stake here, if New England loses and falls to 0-3, that sky is falling type of territory. If they lose to a Zach Wilson-led team, they're already talking about Bill Belichick being overrated and losing his job. And we're on this tightrope of Bill Belichick hot seat. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying this is what's at stake this week for the New England Patriots. And if the Jets bounce back and go to 2-1, we're like, hey, maybe they can ride this thing out and get to the playoffs, and Aaron Rodgers, super healing, comes back for a playoff run. So there's a lot at stake for this one Week 3 matchup, I think, for both teams.
Oh, yeah. I mean, remember, there's a weird-ass game where Zach Wilson was, relatively decisive and efficient against Buffalo and got a win, right? If he has one of those freaky games out of nowhere where he just doesn't do anything catastrophic and they win the game, I mean, that buys him a lot of wiggle room. He can stink for a while longer and not go to the bench, which is basically what he's battling against at the moment, is how long does he have before they go, can't have this any longer. I don't care who starts a quarterback next week. It just isn't going to be him.